Let's unpack this further now with the South African Petroleum Industry Association's Executive Director, Avhapfani Tshifularo, who joins me now to talk more about this. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Avhapfani. Let's start with your reaction in terms of that decision that was made by National Treasury in collaboration with the Department of Mineral Resources.
I think it's a very important decision for the users of petroleum products. It will go a long way towards, ensuring a relief. I think R1.50 is quite a significant, chunk or intervention. I think, it is going to be in place, that intervention up till the end of May. And then beginning of June, they announce other measures, that they are considering. I think, we have seen other countries doing something similar to what South Africa has done. Obviously, this has got major implication in terms of the revenue, additional revenue that, is required to fill the gap. As much as the government has come up with a plan for selling some strategic stocks to fill that gap, but we don't know how long will this rising fuel prices persist.
No, absolutely. Those interventions, I'm sure everybody is waiting with bated breath to find out exactly what they will be. That'll be announced in June. Just based on your engagements and what you see in the industry, what do sustainable long-term interventions to deal with what we're going through look like?
So there are a couple of things that we need to consider. As much as we must be concerned about the impact of rising fuel prices on the users of petroleum products, we need to pay special attention as well to the marketers of these products, because it's becoming very difficult also to procure these products in the international market. They are very expensive and the cargoes are not easily available, especially for our own market. So we need to balance the need for lowering the prices at the same time securing, continuous, supply, because we need to make sure that, the country should never run out of fuel because the marketers, they are unable to buy products because it's way out of, reach for them as well.
No, absolutely. And a big issue there in terms of just keeping on with your previous answer here is refineries in South Africa. What are the problems in this regard? And will we ever get to a point where we can actually have capacity to refine our oil ourselves and not have to buy a finished product? So
we've got refineries in South Africa. Unfortunately, at this point in time, there are I'll say two plants that are operational. That are continuing to refine products. The other three, unfortunately, they are not available. And it means our reliance on imports, has increased quite drastically over the period of 12 months. So, refineries themselves, like many other manufacturing plants in South Africa, they have to deal with the issue of complying with various environmental laws, and also to make sure that they are sustainable, they remain in the game. So for them to respond or to comply to government regulation, they need to invest money. Unfortunately, the margins that the refineries earn, it does not really support this investment. So, we are talking about, the need for upgrading the existing refinery fleet so that, we should continue to produce, products here, for ourselves, because it is in our interest to have a combination of both imports and local refining of petroleum products, because that will give us cushion, because we will be importing the oil, crude oil, and also importing refinery products. Then we are able to balance as opposed to over-reliance on imports.
And once that repair work that you speak about is done, and really just that investment into our refineries happens, are they sufficient enough to meet the demands of South Africa's petroleum needs?
We have become a net importer for a number of years now. We cannot, without upgrading the capacity of the existing refineries, we need to increase the nameplate capacity if we want to eliminate importation of products. And also we need to bring the refineries into the latest specifications that will then allow us to completely stop importation. But as for now, this is not a short-term goal. I think it's something that we need to look at it for 5 to 10 years. If we, as a country, we want to adopt a policy that says we just want to import crude oil and refinery and refine everything locally, we need to take a long-term approach.
No, absolutely. And just a final thought from you, Avhapfani. We've seen the amazing momentum in which the departments have approached this fuel issue. But do you have concerns, or are you confident that they will keep up the momentum and sustain these interventions that they speak about, particularly after June, when we hear a broader sense of how government plans to deal with the fuel issues?
The government has outlined several proposals. I think for phase 2, they've outlined something like 5 interventions. So there is no other way of making sure that these things are implemented. Some of them are short-term. Probably they will require to be implemented on the 1st of June, but some of them, they require some further investigation. And I think the period between now and June, there will be a lot of engagement between ourselves and the government, as we would like to understand more the proposals themselves and also give input, because all these things that were announced, they will have impact in terms of how do we manage the industry and how do we account for duties to government, and generally how we do business. In particular, if you look at one of the proposals that they've made, is that they are no longer going to provide guidance on the diesel price. So as much as diesel price is not regulated at the pump, but it means you will not have those figures that you were quoting earlier to say diesel is going to increase by this much, as they will not longer be publishing that. They will leave it entirely to the market, so that each marketer can come up with a price. So that will bring another dynamics. We're going to see a lot of competition, which is good, but it will bring a lot of challenges in the beginning.
No, absolutely. Thank you very much. We've been speaking there to Avhapfani Tshifularo from the South African Petroleum Industry Association. He's the executive director there, breaking down the announcement that was made by National Treasury around fuel costs and how your pockets will be affected over the next 2 months. And of course, the sustainability of the programs that will be initiated by those government departments to help us or protect us from the surging price of oil.